Another way that I've found to help alleviate some of that mental block, that feeling of being stuck, is to start cooking. Hello my friends, and welcome to The Simple Sober Life. I am Joshua, and I help others make simple changes to create a life of awesome. Welcome my friends, I'm so happy to have you with me. If you haven't yet subscribed, please make sure to do so by clicking that subscribe button down there and hitting that bell so you'll get notified each time I create a video. So, are you stuck in a rut? Is life just not rolling the way that you had hoped it would kind of turn out? I've been there, my friends. I have been there on many different occasions. Now, let me explain. There is a difference between being stuck in a rut and just having a moment of unmotivation. You know, this morning I woke up and, I was totally unmotivated. I sat down to write my book and I just didn't have it in me to do it. And then, so I switched projects and I tried, working on some schoolwork. And the thought of doing more schoolwork was just like, ugh, I don't want to do it. I'm like, okay, I need to do something to cut. My head was all kind of jumbled. I was having 100 thoughts roll through my head all at once, and it didn't really help that I had about a pot of coffee. I was like, let's go! But I didn't want to do anything. It's a weird feeling. So I'm like, okay, I've got to get out of my head. I've got to do something to kind of clear away the cobwebs and recenter and refocus. And so I started doing yoga, and then they had me in these crazy positions. I got about 10 minutes into it. I'm like, I'm not doing that. And so I ended up just sitting outside with more coffee and a couple of cigarettes and pretty much just wasting time. And so I was completely unmotivated this morning, but I was able to pull myself out of it. I had a great conversation with my cousin. I have actually never really had a conversation with her. She follows me on Instagram. If you'd like to follow me, I'll link down below. And she just kind of messaged me and let me know how proud she was of the progress that I've made and, the journey that I'm on. And then we just started talking about our lives, and, she's going through some stuff, and, I can relate from an outside perspective on what she's going through. And, we just had this great conversation. And, after talking to her, I was able to kind of pick myself up and get into action. And for me, and I believe this to be true, the number one way to dismiss and get rid of unmotivation is to get into action. Just do something. But when you're stuck in a rut, it's a continuous series of unmotivation. It's day after day after day. Everything is just so routine and everything is just so mundane. And, there's no excitement anymore. You're just kind of in a rut. And this can happen in your professional life. It can happen in relationships. It can happen with your spirituality. It can definitely happen with your finances. You're just in a hole. And it's a terrible place to be in. It eats away at your well-being. It eats away at your self-confidence. And we need ways in order to kind of pick ourselves up and get out of that rut. I was in a rut the last time I was drinking. This was over a year ago, and it was a several year long rut. I was just doing the same thing over and over. I'd get up, take a swig, go to work at some meaningless job, and I hated myself for it. And, then I'd come home, drink some more until I passed out and did it all over again. And so I was in a rut. And what I am finding is that it almost takes a complete transformation in order to get out of these ruts. We need to reinvent ourselves. We need to kick up some excitement in our lives by essentially coming out of a cocoon and emerging as a completely different person. And these all start small. But like with being unmotivated, it comes with action. There is absolutely no way that we can think ourselves out of a rut. Otherwise I would have been, clean and sober many years ago, and, I would be a kabillionaire, and, I'd be traveling the world and meeting new people and having different experiences all the time, because I was constantly in that mind of thought, one day I'm going to be a master of the universe. One day I'm gonna be a good partner. One day I'm gonna have a successful business. One day I'm gonna reconnect with a spiritual being. One day! But day after day after day, it was the same old thing, because all I was doing was thinking. There wasn't any action to, my recourse. There wasn't any action put into my transformation. And it wasn't until I, did the ultimate action by putting down the bottle that I was able to start working on other aspects of my life to actually transform myself into the person that I knew I could be and that I so desired to be. And, it started off small. It started off with focusing on a single aspect of my life. I started out by focusing on the financial aspect of it. And I did that because I knew, well, first of all, I was absolutely completely broke. I didn't have a nickel to my name. And the truth of the matter is we cannot, we can't elevate our lives without at least some sort of financial stability, some sort of financial foundation. It has to happen. And so I had to focus on that. I had to focus on getting a job that I knew would supply a at least somewhat stable amount of cash. That's where I had to put my focus. And it took small routine steps in order to get there. I had to send out resumes. I had to go on interviews. I had to, commission my sister to take me to different places so that I could actually interview for different jobs and things like that. It took me meeting new people and forming relationships so that I could kind of get my foot in a door and, having a job open up for me through that, new relationship, And so once I was able to get that underway, then I was able to move on to something else that contributed to the transformation and getting out of that rut. At that point, I was completely and utterly depressed. I had absolutely no self-confidence, and I hated everything about me. And so then I had to shift my focus into a different aspect of my life, into becoming a more healthier version of myself. I had put down the bottle, and that definitely helped a lot. But that will only take you so far. There are other things that have been damaged due to the alcohol, and those have to be repaired, mentally and physically. And so I started eating healthier. I started, getting a little bit of exercise. And once I started taking those small steps, other things seemed to fall into place. My mental well-being started relaxing. I wasn't as irritable and agitated all the time. I didn't have anxiety at all points of the day. I wasn't looking in the mirror anymore and telling myself what a horrible, disgusting human being I was. I could actually feel better about myself. And so, that was another step in getting out of that rut. And then, I started moving on to building new relationships and starting to repair other ones. Like I mentioned, I just had a great conversation with a cousin of mine whom, I really have never talked to. I mean, our families we grew up hundreds of miles apart, and, we just never communicated. But, building on that relationship and, old friends, recommunicating with them, and just starting to build up that confidence in the area of relationships. And of course, while all this is going on, I have made progress and am taking steps to build upon my spirituality. I think that is a huge part in actually creating a transformative being in yourself, really connecting with something greater out there. And it does, in my opinion, it doesn't really matter what your beliefs are as long as you have them. In my opinion, in my belief, there's something definitely greater out there than myself. Otherwise, I probably wouldn't be here. But reconnecting with that spiritual part of you. For many, many years, and I've said this before, I walked around with kind of an emptiness inside because I didn't have that connection. And so once I was able to, at least begin to forge that connection with a higher power, a spiritual being, Mother Earth, whatever you want to call it, and started filling in that void, then, I was able to really recognize the person that I could become. Because I believe once I was able to make that connection, I was able to believe that I was meant for something greater than the path that I was on. And, that has definitely helped me quite a bit in this transformation, in getting out of that rut. There are so many small things that you can do, just taking small little actions. There are a number of different things that I will do when I start feeling myself going down the rabbit hole of of life being monotonous, of being boring, of getting kind of stuck. And when I'm stuck in a place for an extended period of time, then I'll start getting into a rut. And so when I'm able to identify that that's kind of the path I'm going on, there, I'll break out some yoga. I'll jump on Amazon Prime or another resource and start doing yoga. And to try and clear up some of the cobwebs out of my head and, try and get some of that negative energy out. Another thing that I like to do is, just kind of cook something. Getting active in the kitchen really kind of takes my mind out of, the situation that I'm in, that I'm kind of dwelling on. I'll get in there and create something new, or, follow a recipe and cook something good. But my favorite thing to do when I start feeling myself kind of start slipping is to get in the car and explore new places, or just go out for a drive in general. I have really found that distancing myself from the environment that I'm in, where I'm feeling kind of stuck or and moving towards being in a rut, really helps, kind of just put things in perspective, gives me time to organize my thoughts, and start coming up with a game plan on how I can, evolve and change into being in a more positive mindset, and really helps me create action steps to move in a better direction. So find out exactly what actionable steps you can take in order to move in a more positive direction, especially if you're able to identify when you start moving down that rabbit hole of, cloudy thoughts, and, things just aren't getting organized in your head, and, your anxiety level is starting to get up, and, you just feel like you're in a constant state of monotonous behavior, because Lord knows that's boring. And I mean, I don't know about you, but I can't stand doing the same thing day in and day out. It's just too much. So find something that works for you. Find those little actionable things that you enjoy, whether it be arts and crafts, whether it be music, anything creative is always a good choice. Whether it's working with your hands, whatever the case. Anyway, my friends, back to the video. This morning, like I mentioned, I was completely unmotivated. And I have found, and that actually happened last weekend as well. And so I was able to pick up on the pattern that, these unmotivated days are starting to come together closer and closer. And so I need to take action in order to prevent myself from getting into a rut again and potentially taking more steps backwards than I would like to. And so, having that conversation with my cousin definitely helped. And then, I shot a video. I got into action to communicate with the outside world about the person that I am becoming, and in hopes of helping other people along the way. And so once I created a video, then I was ready to jump into a blog post to further that action. And then, I was able to jump into school, because that's another aspect of my life that I believe will help me further develop into the person that I ultimately want to become. And believe me, this is a continuous process. I will never become the person that I ultimately want to become, because I'm in a constant state of progression. I constantly want to build upon myself. I constantly want to, become a better person. I don't believe there ever will be an end point where I look at myself and be like, I'm as perfect as I'm gonna be. Because I truly believe that there's always room for growth. But anyway, my friends, I hope you got value out of this. Getting in a rut it's a difficult position to get out of. And so if you are able to analyze where you're at right now and identify that you're in that position, or that you're kind of moving in that direction, and are able to kind of redirect and take action into taking preventative measures or course correcting actions to getting out of there, you will be much better off for it. My friends, please make sure to subscribe to this channel and give this video a big old thumbs up if you liked it. Also, comment down below if you have any actions that has helped you get out of a rut or kind of in a low place. I would love to hear about them. Until next time, my friends,